The King's Avatar, Chapter 1614 Historic Team Competition, Audio Source, whooshOurWorldAudiobook.com. Chapter 1614, Historic Team Competition. Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. We won. 5-3. Chen Guo was excited. Although the match wasn't over yet, they had a 2-point lead going into the team competition. It was an incredible result, especially since this was Samsara's home stadium. Samsara had clearly practiced with the map, Dripstone Cave, and put it to good use, yet Happy had still been able to win 5-3. It was definitely worthy of being happy about. Everyone knew the importance of this 2-point lead. The fans in the away team seats started cheering loudly, while the home stadium Samsara fans were disappointed. Today's group arena had been vexing. Their captain, Josekai, lost in the first round, putting everyone in low spirits. Jiang Botao was able to bring things back, but Lu Boyuan lost disastrously. Du Ming's exceptional playing made him overjoyed, but their spirits were immediately dampened by the dirty Fang Rui. Then, Samsara only had Sun Xiang left. Their hopes of winning the group arena were rather low at this point, but Sun Xiang's confidence made them think again. But the result? Everyone had been hopeful, but in the end, Sun Xiang wasn't able to beat even a single opponent. Samsara's fans weren't at all pleased with Sun Xiang's performance. When the group arena ended and the players came down from the stage, there were even boos towards Sun Xiang from the crowd. Sun Xiang lowered his head, silent and embarrassed. His teammates sympathized with him though because his loss hadn't been as bad Lu Boyuan's. In contrast, Sun Xiang had his glimmering moments. Unfortunately, Fang Rui wiped it all away. Fang Rui. He had essentially done a 1v2, successfully earning Happy a 2-point lead. It was a result worthy of him being the highest paid player and having their strongest character. Fang Rui was satisfied, and the booing towards Sun Xiang was just heaven to his ears. Fang Rui wasn't polite. He grinned as he waved his hands towards the crowd as if they were cheering for him. Samsara's fans weren't happy with Sun Xiang, but they weren't going to just let the opposing team laugh at him. The look on Fang Rui's face made them stop booing towards Sun Xiang. Then, they started sending their boos towards Fang Rui. The players on Samsara, including Sun Xiang, couldn't help but look towards Fang Rui. Their gazes were filled with gratitude. Nice job pulling that aggro. But Fang Rui didn't care about that. When he returned to his team, he was in high spirits. What do you think? Just say it. How'd I do? Fang Rui asked Yi Zhu. Good job, good job. Yi Zhu clapped his hands in praise. I appreciate your honesty, Fang Rui said. The gloom that he had been holding in throughout the playoffs was finally let out today. Fang Rui felt like he was playing great. His golden right hand was on fire. He couldn't wait for the team competition to begin. He couldn't help but look towards Samsara, but they noticed him and immediately looked at him with hostility. Where's that cup of water? Hand it over to him to cool off. Yi Zhu called out. Fang Rui had asked Su Mucheng for the water when he went to the stage. After Su Mucheng got back, she really did get to him a cup of water. After Fang Rui got it, it seemed that he had forgotten about what he had asked for because he immediately gulped it down in one go. The water's still hot, Fang Rui yelled. Have you guys heard the story, Warm Wine, the killing of Huasheng? Single quote quote dot. We've heard of it. Let's talk about the match. Yi Zhu quickly replied. Okay, the match. Fang Rui calmed himself down. He didn't let the joy get to his head. He was the master of playing dirty, an expert at switching up the pace. No. The two teams didn't return to their prep rooms. They stayed at their seats, discussing the upcoming team competition. A while later, the referee called for the two teams. The lineup for the team competition had been decided beforehand, which the large screen in the stadium displayed for the audience to see. Team Happy, Yishu, Sumuchung, Fang Rui, Kiao Yivan, and Wenyi, Steamed Bun. Team Samsara, Josekai, Jiang Botao, Sun Xiang, Lu Boyuan, Fang Minghua, Du Ming. There were some small adjustments to the lineup compared to their first game. On Happy's side, Tang Rou wasn't playing in the team competition. Kiao Yivan took her place. On Samsara's side, their assassin Wu Qi was on the bench while Du Ming was the sixth player. Every player hoped to be a part of the participating lineup, especially on a grand stage like the finals. Du Ming's position in Samsara wasn't as stable as the core players. Being able to play in the team competition in the finals was a rare opportunity. Even so, Du Ming couldn't help but hope for a bit more, but after seeing that Happy's lineup didn't include Tang Rou, his hopes were immediately extinguished. How unlucky. Du Ming really wanted to let out a sigh, but he suddenly noticed that his teammates were looking at him and hastily swallowed his sigh. It's just not right. It was a rare opportunity for him to play, but he was still a bit sad about it. Du Ming thought to himself as he collected his emotions. With his head held high, he marched forward, the first one to head towards the stage. How unfortunate, Tang Rou isn't playing. Behind him, Jiang Botao and Fang Minghua stood close to each other, whispering. Yeah, we miscalculated, Fang Minghua said. But then again, Du Ming's playing really well today, Jiang Botao said. Like I said, the power of love, Fang Minghua said. But his love's not even on stage, Jiang Botao retorted. But his love's watching him off stage, Fang Minghua said. If we knew, we should have put someone else as the sixth player, Jiang Botao said. We can make adjustments during the match, Fang Minghua said. Soon afterwards, the players on the two teams lined up at the center of the stage, giving their pre-match greetings to each other. Josekai wasn't a talkative person. He pretty much just smiled to the players on Happy as a greeting. The first to say something from Samsara was their vice-captain, Jiang Botao. You guys played amazing in the group arena. Jiang Botao shook Yishu's hands. You're about to see something even more amazing. Yishu smiled. I hope you won't be as scary, Jiang Botao said. You scared? Yishu said. A bit, but I still have to play even if I'm afraid, Jiang Botao replied. Why force yourself? Yishu grinned. You too. Are you done chatting? Sumuchung couldn't help but interrupt them. The pre-match greeting was just a formality. Usually, the two teams would line up and then shake hands, starting from the captain. But instead, Yishu had just gotten to Samsara's second player, Jiang Botao, and the two were chatting up a storm. WuxRWorldAudio.com. The two of them were holding up the line. The others behind him were looking at each other. Ha, Sis Su, don't be anxious. Jiang Botao could chat with anyone. After letting go of Yishu, he immediately started making small talk with Sumuchung. Every match had its formalities. No one really cared what happened during them. Soon, the two sides finished their greetings, and under directions from the referee, each side went to their respective player booths. Cheers erupted from the crowd. Although Samsara had lost in the group arena, the outcome of this match depended on the team competition. It was very common to see a team win a team competition by more than 2 points. As a result, neither Team Samsara nor their fans were too worried. Who cares if we're losing by 2 points? As long as we gain it back in the team competition, it's fine. If we gain the points back, we win today's match and the finals. We'll be the champions. It'll be the start of a new reign. A historic moment could happen today, giving Samsara's players and their fans endless motivation. It allowed them to keep calm despite being behind. As for Happy, they were facing a match that they could not lose. Even if they had a 2-point lead from the group arena, it wasn't enough. They had to win the team competition, so they could get another chance for a third game tiebreaker. If not, their journey this season would be over. No one on Happy wanted to see this outcome. Good luck. The players on the two teams gave each other one last round of encouragement before heading into their player booths. The referee looked at the time. For this potentially historic match, everything needed to be handled perfectly. Time was ticking. At 21:25, the referee announced the start of the team competition. The map and characters loaded. The loading bar seemed to be carrying Killing Intent, a battle between the two sides. Lord Grim finished loading. Cloud Piercer finished loading. Dancing Rain finished loading. Empty Waves finished loading. At the end, the map finished loading, and the team competition was officially underway. The map was Selkie City Warehouse. The map was a city map, but because of the enormous size of the warehouse, the map had a large indoor area. As a result, it didn't feel like there were many layers to this map compared to maps in the wilderness. There were all sorts of commodities piled up inside the warehouse, creating a maze. Some of these commodities could be used in battle too. Teams that weren't familiar with the map would probably have a hard time utilizing it well. Panlin and Li Yibo introduced the map to the audience, while the two teams spawned at the east and west side of the map. This map was an actual part of a city in the heavenly domain. The Selkie City Warehouse was asymmetric. There were areas that could be utilized on both the east and west sides of the map. However, as the away team, Happy needs some time to observe the map. On the other hand, Samsara immediately set out as soon as they spawned. Instead of heading straight for the center, Samsara moved in the southwest direction. At the top of the warehouse in the southwest area, there was a tall chimney, which was the highest point in the map. Samsara was heading towards it. However, the chimney was actually closer to Happy's spawn point, and it was quite conspicuous too. Happy quickly noticed it. End chapter. The King's Avatar. Chapter 1615 High Ground. Audio source, WursharWorldAudiobook.com. Chapter 1615 High Ground. Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. High Ground. Obvious. The communication going on in Happy's chat was short and concise. Sumuchung had asked about the high ground. It was common knowledge that launchers with the high ground could more easily provide support to the team. The height of the chimney was neither too high nor too low. It was the perfect height for a launcher. If a launcher player saw this high ground and didn't have any thoughts about it, then the player wasn't suited to be a launcher. But Yi Xiu quickly replied back with an obvious. The chimney was easy to notice. Samsara knew what Happy's team composition looked like. Samsara had also chosen this map, so how could not know what the chimney meant for Happy? Since they knew, why would they choose this map if it gave their opponent an advantage? It was unlikely. This obvious advantage was more likely to be bait. Closer, Fang Rui quickly typed. He judged that they were closer to the chimney than Samsara was. Happy could take advantage of this fact. If Samsara had left the chimney there as bait, then they must have a method to deal with a launcher holding the high ground. What was that method? Check, Yi Xiu ordered. Happy set out. Their destination was the high ground. A total of 5 words had been said, but it was enough for them to get the message across. Even the average viewer could understand Happy's intentions from these 5 words. The high ground is bait, so don't rush over. Instead, check how Samsara plans on dealing with it and then search for an opening. The team advanced. Yishu's Lord Grimm moved faster than the others, leaving the team behind. He planned on scouting AEAD by himself. Happy had the advantage in distance, and Yishu had left the team to operate on his own. With Yishu's experience, even if he wasn't too familiar with this map, he would likely find the key to this map soon. However, the viewers, who could see everything, saw Yishu's movements and started lighting candles for him. Because Samsara had also split up to get there as fast as possible. It wasn't just one person either, but three. Josekai, Cloud Piercer, Sun Xiang, One Autumn Leaf, Jiang Botao, Empty Waves. The three characters were in a triangular formation. After setting out from their spawn point, the other two were left behind. Lu Boyuan's chaotic Cloudy Mountain was left behind to protect Fang Minghu as cleric. Laughing Song. Happy didn't rush towards this obvious high point rashly. However, their caution approach was within Samsara's calculations. They had predicted that Happy would send someone to scout AEAD, so they sent out their trio as a counter. Was Yishu's Lord Grimm going to be killed in one go, just like this? The broadcast showed a bird's-eye view of the map. 4 blinking lights were quickly moving towards the chimney. Yishu was holding nothing back though, using whatever movement skills he had on him. As a result, even though Samsara had left their healer behind to rush over, their speed couldn't compare to Lord Grimm's. Samsara had started off farther away too, so Yishu would definitely arrive first. The question was how long he would stay around. The blinking indicators grew nearer and nearer towards the storeroom with the chimney on top. Selkie City Warehouse was composed of numerous large, medium, and small storerooms. This storeroom was a small one. It was no more than 3 meters tall. Even so, it wasn't a height that a character could make in a single jump. However, this height wasn't a problem for Yishu. Rotor Wings and his umbrella's ninjutsu form could easily overcome 3 meters. Lord Grimm had transformed his Myriad Manifestations umbrella into its ninjutsu form. After 2 jumps, Lord Grimm climbed onto the roof of the storeroom. The chimney was already in sight. It looked to be around 15 meters tall. Along with the storeroom's height itself, it was approaching 20 meters. It was indeed a very suitable location for a launcher. With a distance and movement speed advantage, it was impossible for Samsara to have arrived there before him. Lord Grimm rushed straight for the chimney. Along the way, he looked around to check his surroundings. Storerooms everywhere. Selkie City Warehouse consisted of storerooms of different sizes and heights. The storeroom to the left of him was a small one, about 7 meters tall. The storeroom to the right was connected to the one he was on, and was 5 meters tall as well. 7 meters on the left, 5 meters on the right. There were numerous places where the enemies could situate themselves to force the launcher down. That would have been the case in the past. After the level cap raised to 75, launchers had a new skill, mounted guns, which Sumo Chung had employed effectively in today's group arena. When this skill was activated, the launcher wouldn't need to worry about knockback from attacks. During the duration of the skill, she would be able to provide even stronger support for Happy. Of course, it would also be at the sacrifice of her health. Whether or not the exchange was worth it depended on the situation. Yishu didn't think that Samsara's method of dealing with the chimney would be so unreliable. It was true that Josekai would be the one dealing with this high ground, but banking everything on him would be too naive. Samsara hadn't won 2 championships through blind trust. What else could there be? In the blink of an eye, Lord Grimm reached beneath the chimney, which had stairs that could be climbed. Yishu had Lord Grimm climb up to the top. When he looked around, he noticed that the view was indeed extremely good. If the two teams fought here and Sumuchung was positioned on top of the chimney, she would have a very easy time helping the team. It might even be impossible for Jo Zekai's sharpshooter to obstruct her. If before, Yishu had felt like it depended on the circumstances, then now, after getting an understanding of how effective this high ground was, Yishu felt like having support from up here would improve Happy's chances of winning a fight enormously. In that case, where was Samsara's confidence coming from? Was there some sort of dead angle, or could it be? Yishu looked down towards the bottom of the chimney. The chimney was emitting any smoke, but if there was a way to get it operating, then the launcher at the top of the chimney probably wouldn't be able to see through the dense smoke. Was Samsara confident in the control over the high ground because of the chimney itself? Lord Grimm crouched and jumped down into the chimney. A height of 12 meters was enough to induce fall damage. WuxRWorldAudio.com. However, Lord Grimm's umbrella was still in its Ninja 2 form. After dropping down for a bit, he swung his Ninja 2 to safely land into a pile of garbage. He looked around. Then, his eyes lit up. He struggled out of the garbage and into the storeroom. He had come out from a huge furnace. Scattered all around the storeroom was a bunch of discarded junk. It seemed like this place was for burning trash. Yishu quickly found power switch. After pulling on it, the furnace began to burn, and the conveyor belt started up, sending trash into the furnace. As expected, Yishu was certain now. Because the chimney was still operational, it couldn't be used as a high ground. There's smoke. The efficiency of the furnace was astonishing. It had only just been turned on, but the chimney was already letting out smoke. Both teams noticed the smoke. It turns out the chimney can be used. Pan Lin said. It's a good thing Yishu found it ahead of time, Li Yibo said. The two sides haven't come across each other yet, but it looks like a battle of wits has already begun. Pan Lin said. But it looks like Samsara has thought farther ahead. Li Yibo looked at the info he had and smiled. Oh? Pan Lin asked. Look at the entrance to this storeroom. Li Yibo reminded Pan Lin, while also reminding the audience. The storeroom entrance. The broadcast gave a close-up of the entrance. However, only a portion of the audience members could see it. The other portion couldn't rely on the screen to understand the peculiarities behind the entrance. This was because everyone was seated in different locations, so they saw it from different angles. The entrance to the storeroom was facing to the east, so the audience members on the east side saw it clearly, but the audience members on the west were at a loss. Fortunately, the projection technology in the stadium could change depending on the situation. Previously, the projection only showed the area surrounding Lord Grimm, but now it extended to the entire storeroom, allowing everyone to see Lord Grimm's movements inside the storeroom. After being able to see the entrance clearly, the audience members quickly caught on to what Li Yibo meant. This storeroom only had one entrance, facing to the east, which Samsara was coming from. If Lord Grimm wanted to leave the storeroom, he only had one exit to choose from. But Samsara's trio was getting closer and closer to this entrance. They could stop Lord Grimm from coming out. The smoke coming from the chimney was a signal to them to rush in. But they didn't see Lord Grimm. After Yishu looked around the storeroom, he had noticed that the entrance was facing east and immediately realized the problem. Thus, he didn't go towards the entrance and instead turned off the furnace. Then, he tried to go into the furnace but ended up losing health. The furnace's temperature was too high, dealing damage to him. Going back the way he came through the chimney wouldn't work. There were piles of garbage scattered everywhere around him. Yishu found a random one to hide in while typing out, "Fight for the high ground." End chapter. The King's Avatar. Chapter 16:16 Storeroom. Audio source, wuxia-world-audiobook.com. Chapter 16:16 Storeroom. Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. High ground. Fight for the high ground. The audience was puzzled. Yishu had turned off the furnace, and his Lord Grimm was guarding it. However, Samsara had 3 people, while Yishu was alone. He probably wasn't enough to hold down this place, no. But the people with this opinion soon realized something. They had an omniscient spectator view, so they could see that Samsara had 3 players there. On the other hand, Yishu never exited the room, so he had no idea what Samsara's arrangements were. As a result, his order to fight for the high ground was actually a good decision. The furnace was in his grasp right now. Even if he discovered that 3 people had come and he couldn't defend the furnace, it wouldn't be too late for him to tell Sumuchung to give up on the high ground. Happy's other 4 players were approaching. After receiving Yishu's message, Sumuchung's dancing rain immediately sped up. She left the team behind and rushed towards the storeroom. The storeroom entrance. Zhou Zekai, Jiang Botao, and Sun Xiang had surrounded the entrance, but they didn't see any enemies. Zhou Zekai's Cloud Piercer was standing farther back because he was long-ranged. As a result, he could see the top of the chimney. He quickly noticed that the smoke was gradually getting sparser. Turned off. Quote. He typed in the team chat. The others immediately understood that the furnace had been turned off. Turned off. That meant the high ground could be taken. However, Samsara didn't go for it. Enter. Jiang Botao said. Sun Xiang's one autumn leaf led the way. Jiang Botao's empty waves followed next, and then Zhou Zekai's Cloud Piercer. The 3 didn't split up, and headed into the storeroom together. One to the left, one to the right. One autumn leaf and empty waves moved orderly and nimbly. They were clearly very familiar with the interior of the storeroom. The 2 split up and immediately searched the piles of garbage in the back, but they didn't find anyone. Forward. Jiang Botao messaged again. The 3 of them split up again, each taking their own path. All of them moved slowly and quietly, pressing forward together. Step by step, they grew closer to the furnace. When they reached about halfway to the furnace, Zhou Zekai's Cloud Piercer suddenly stepped on a pile of trash near him and jumped twice to get on top. He looked around and immediately noticed the hiding Lord Grimm. Boom boom boom. But Lord Grimm's myriad manifestations umbrella was the first to flash. He had been looking in that direction, waiting for a target to come into sight. Zhou Zekai reacted extremely fast though. Cloud Piercer immediately rolled backwards, disappearing from Lord Grimm's view. Anti-tank missiles rained down, exploding the trash pile that Cloud Piercer had been on. The trash consisted of a bunch of worn-out rubbish. The missiles sent the rubbish flying into the air, which then pitter-pattered down like rain. Zhou Zekai's Cloud Piercer rolled backwards to dodge the attack. Then, he rolled forward twice, leaning on the pile of trash. His pristine windbreaker lay crumpled on the dirty trash. To the fans, it made their hearts ache. Bang 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 bang. Cloud Piercer took out his 2 guns and pointed them towards Lord Grimm, firing at him. But Lord Grimm was no longer there. The bullets splattered against the trash. The exchange of gunfire had attracted Sun Xiang's and Jiang Botao's attention. When Zhou Zekai fired back, he also gave out Lord Grimm's coordinates. Sun Xiang and Jiang Botao made their own choices on what to do with the information. They continued to go deeper into the storeroom to block off Lord Grimm's escape path. Gone. Zhou Zekai saw his target disappear and messaged again. The 2 received the message and put up their guard. Where would Lord Grim come out from? Some of the viewers couldn't see and started getting anxious. The projections were already showing the storeroom as translucent. Turning the trash piles inside translucent would only make things more confusing. This had been tested before. As a result, some members of the audience couldn't see Lord Grim's hiding spot. Since they couldn't see, they could only rely on the big screen and then compare it to the projections. When they made the comparison, they only became more anxious. Lord Grim was crouching at a spot, while Sun Xiang's one autumn leaf was getting closer, one step at a time. At this rate, he was going to get ambushed. Just when one autumn leaf was 2 steps away, he suddenly stopped. On the other side, Jiang Botao's empty waves suddenly sped up and rushed out. Their eyes met. Bang bang. Gunshots. In the end, thanks to Yishu's fast reactions, he was able to get off 2 shots as soon as he saw empty waves. But one autumn leaf's evil annihilation shot out at the same time. Furious dragon strikes the heart. The spear pierced through the trash with ease. Yishu was saved by his good instincts. The moment he fired 2 shots at empty waves, Lord Grim also rolled back in case there was a possible counterattack from the other side. It was a defensive habit of his, and it led to him dodge the attack. Seeing the familiar spear narrowly miss him, Yishu thanked the gods for his luck. He hadn't noticed anyone near him. Cloud piercer, empty waves, one autumn leaf. There were 3 people. Was there a 4th? Maybe even a 5th. If there was a 5th, then Samsara didn't have a healer. A healer couldn't have got in here so quickly. If there was 5, then they had gone all out on the aggression. There should be no reason to take such a risk just for this high ground. Just these 3 players alone showed their aggressiveness. If he had been the one making the calls, he would have only sent 2 people to go past the team, while leaving 2 to protect the healer. In that case, storeroom 3 people, intercept healer. Yishu quickly gave out an order. Deciphering these 5 words would require a bit of thinking. Intercept the healer, sure, but go where to intercept him? Yishu had provided information that there were 3 people in the storeroom. Happy was closer to the storeroom than Samsara, but 3 people had already reached there. Why? Because they had left the healer behind. Thus, the healer was behind them, en route to the storeroom from the spawn point. There was one healer and another one protecting him. Who was the one protecting him? Cloud 1 empty. Yishu quickly typed. Cloud piercer, 1 autumn leaf, empty waves. The information was thorough and clear. WuxaWorldAudio.com. It was either Lu Boyuan or Du Ming protecting the healer. In any case, Happy's healer was completely safe. He wouldn't be under attack anytime soon, and he could be left behind on his own. As a result, Fang Rui's Boundless Sea and Qiao Yifan's 1-inch ash sped up. Previously, it had only been Dancing Rain that had gone AEAD. Now, she had reached the storeroom. Even though Yishu had told her to get to the high ground, with 3 of Samsara's players inside, having the high ground wouldn't be much help. The high ground was rather far away, if she wanted to intercept Samsara's healer. As a result, Sumuchun gave up on it. She used the recoil from her cannon to leap onto a nearby 3-meter-high storeroom before heading towards that storeroom entrance. This was a moment where players need to decide on their own what was the right call according to the situation. Yishu had just given the order. However, it was likely that it wasn't suitable anymore because of a change in circumstances. The other players need to decide for themselves whether it was the right choice and act accordingly. Inside the storeroom, Yishu was facing against 3 of Samsara's figureheads. There was naturally no way he could face them head-on. By a fluke, he had dodged 1 autumn leaf's furious dragon strikes the heart. He sent out information to Happy while throwing a grenade at the corner of a trash pile. Sun Xiang's vision was blocked by the trash, so he didn't know a grenade had been thrown. The furious dragon strikes the heart had unexpectedly missed. He immediately had one autumn leaf rush out. But even though he couldn't see it, Jiang Botao could dodge. Warning, grenade, one autumn leaf's right foot. All of them came out at the same time. Boom. The grenade exploded the moment Sun Xiang saw Jiang Botao's warning. How could there be any time for him to dodge? One autumn leaf was thrown back. Jiang Botao's empty waves rushed forward, but Lord Grimm had already hidden himself behind another trash pile. Jiang Botao's empty waves specialized in wave slashes, but he had learned wave formations too. He stopped and swung his short sword, Divine Chains, to gather magic. But just when he swung his sword, Lord Grimm suddenly popped out again. Yi Zhu had predicted that Jiang Botao would set down a wave formation, so he came out to interrupt it. Jiang Botao smirked. You predicted what I would do, but I predicted that you would predict what I would do. Divine Chains chopped downwards. It wasn't a wave formation, but a ghost slash. The emblematic purple light of the ghost god crackled as it passed through the air. This slash wasn't towards Lord Grimm, but rather to the right a bit, towards the pile of trash that he was hiding behind. Yi Zhu saw that the attack would miss, but he didn't capitalize on it. Lord Grimm immediately jumped back. The ghost slash fell and sliced through the pile of trash. The pile of trash instantly crumbled. If Yi Zhu hadn't jumped back, the trash would have swallowed him. Tricky. Lord Grimm turned around to run. Yi Zhu didn't forget to leave a bit of trash talk for Jiang Botao. One reason was to taunt at Jiang Botao, the other was to notify his teammates that he could handle the current situation. If not, he wouldn't have taunted Jiang Botao and asked for help instead. He turned around and ran away again. Yi Zhu tried his best to keep Lord Grimm as low as possible. This slimy crawling and rolling gave the audience a sense of déjà vu. This was clearly how Fang Rui moved. What can't this guy do? Zhang Jialei couldn't help but sigh from the spectator stands. He had known Yi Zhu for 9 years, and he knew that his title as the Glory textbook wasn't just for show. Yi Zhu had innovated many of the playstyles and techniques used in Glory, but not everything. For example, Zhang Jialei's 100 Blossoms style, or Fang Rui's dirty playstyle, those were all their own original creations. These became their symbolic playstyles, but that didn't mean that they were the only ones who could do them. People could learn. But Yi Zhu used to be a battle mage, not a spitfire or a thief, yet he seemed to have grasped these playstyles too. Then, he used his understanding of them to find their weaknesses. There was no one more annoying than him. They have 3 people, and they can't deal with him. Fight my ass. Huang Shaoshan shouted. The pro players were getting worked up as if something had hit a nerve. End chapter.